Welcome to the Daily Brain. The word today is resilience. This is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Now let's explore and understand the complete concept.
Welcome in, everybody. We're diving deep into resilience today.
Yeah.
It's a topic we hear a lot about, but we're really going to try to go a little deeper. We've got research articles from the American Psychological Association, even the Mayo Clinic, some pretty incredible real-life stories, too, and even some advice from the U.S. Department of State. So, yeah, I'm really excited to dig into all this.
Me too.
I don't know about you, but I feel like these days everyone's expected to be so resilient, like unbreakable. It's like this constant pressure. But we're not robots, right?
Right?
Life throws curveballs at all of us. So
Yeah.
how do we actually bounce back from those tough times? That's what I'm hoping we can kind of unpack today.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, you look at people who are considered really resilient, and it's not that they don't experience hardship. They do. It's more like they have this almost like an instinct for navigating the rough patches. And the research suggests that these are skills that can be learned.
So we're not talking about becoming some sort of, emotionless robot. It's more about equipping ourselves with the tools to deal with whatever life throws at us.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we get into the how, I'm curious, how does the research actually define resilience? Is it just about, toughing it out?
That's a great question. And I think the research actually paints a much more dynamic picture. It's not just about gritting your teeth and pushing through. It's about adapting. The American Psychological Association defines it as the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences. So it's that ability to bounce back, but also to learn and grow from those tough experiences.
I like that. So it's not just about surviving, but thriving.
Exactly.
Even when things are tough.
That's where the thriving part comes in. It's about using those experiences to become stronger, develop new skills, even deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world.
This is already making me rethink some of my own experiences. Okay, so we know it's about adapting and thriving. But why should we even care? What's the payoff for all this effort?
Well, there's so many benefits to being more resilient. I mean, from a practical standpoint, it helps us manage stress better. But the research goes even deeper than that. Studies show that resilience is linked to better mental health, reduced anxiety and depression, even physical health benefits like lower blood pressure and a stronger immune system.
Wait, so resilience can actually impact our physical health?
It's true.
That's wild. I was thinking more about the mental and emotional benefits.
It's all connected.
But this adds a whole new layer.
Yeah, and that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Resilient people tend to have stronger relationships, a greater sense of purpose. They're also more likely to achieve their goals. It really touches every aspect of our lives.
Okay, I'm officially sold on the benefits.
Right.
But let's get practical. How do we actually cultivate resilience? Is this something we're born with, or can anyone learn it?
This is where it gets exciting, because the research is pretty clear that resilience isn't some innate trait you either have or you don't. It's a skill, a set of habits and mindsets that you can develop over time, regardless of your starting point.
So no matter what our past experiences have been, we all have the potential to become more resilient.
Absolutely.
That's encouraging.
There's this model called the 7 C's of resilience. I think it comes from an article called Thriving Through Challenges, and it breaks down the key components of resilience in a way that I find really helpful.
The 7 C's. Sounds catchy. Maybe we can walk through each of those C's and get a deeper understanding of how they all work together to build that resilience muscle.
I'd love to. So let's start with the foundation, competence. This is about having the skills and knowledge to effectively navigate challenges.
That makes sense. If you feel equipped to handle whatever comes your way, you're less likely to crumble under pressure. But how do we actually build competence?
Well, it's about embracing a growth mindset. Consistently seeking opportunities to learn and expand your abilities. It can be as simple as reading a book on a new topic, taking a class, or even asking for help when you need it.
So it's about constantly seeking out ways to learn and grow, like admitting when we don't know something, and actively looking for that knowledge.
Exactly, and it's important to celebrate those small wins along the way. Each step you take, each new skill you acquire, it all adds to your foundation of competence.
So we're not aiming for perfection, but rather consistent growth.
Right.
That feels a lot more achievable. What comes after competence?
Well, naturally, as you become more competent, you start to feel more confident. So the next C is confidence. Believing in yourself and your ability to overcome obstacles.
Confidence is huge. I've definitely noticed that when I feel confident, I'm more likely to take on challenges and persevere, even when things get tough.
Yeah.
But how do we build confidence if we're not really feeling it naturally.
It's about recognizing and challenging those negative thoughts and beliefs that hold you back. You know you're braver than you think.
Yeah.
You have more control over your experience than you might realize.
I love that. There's so much truth in that. Okay, we've got competence and confidence. What's the next C?
This one's all about connection. Resilient people recognize that they don't have to go it alone. They nurture strong, supportive relationships and lean on their network when times get tough.
I've always thought of resilience as this, internal strength. But you're right. Having a solid support system can make a world of difference. It's like, even if you believe in yourself, having people who believe in you too, that can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And it's not just about receiving support, it's about giving it too. Contributing to others and being part of a community, that can foster a sense of belonging and purpose, which are also really key components of resilience.
So it's a two-way street. We need to build those relationships,
Yeah.
but also be there for others. Okay, this is already giving me a lot to think about. What's the next C on our resilience journey?
The next C is character, and this one might seem a little bit more abstract, but it's really about having a strong moral compass, living in alignment with your values, even when faced with tough choices.
So it's about having that inner strength to do what's right even when it's hard.
Exactly.
That definitely takes resilience.
It's about having that grounding force within you that helps you navigate, those gray areas and make choices that are aligned with your deepest beliefs.
I can see how that would contribute to a sense of peace and stability, especially when you're facing chaos externally.
Yeah.
It's almost like having that internal anchor. Okay, what's next on our list of C's?
Next up is contribution, and this one highlights the power of focusing outward. Resilient people often find meaning and purpose by contributing to something larger than themselves.
So it's about looking beyond our own needs and focusing on making a positive impact on the world around us.
That's it. It could be through volunteering, mentoring, creative pursuits, or even just showing up for your community in small ways. The key is that it helps you connect to something bigger than yourself, which can be incredibly empowering, especially when you're facing personal challenges.
Yeah, it's almost like shifting your perspective from woe is me to how can I make a difference? It's a powerful mental shift.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we're up to 6 C's now. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
The last C is coping, which is all about having healthy strategies to manage stress and difficult emotions.
This is a big one. We all experience stress and negative emotions, but it's how we deal with them that determines our resilience, right?
Right?
What are some effective coping mechanisms that you've come across in your research?
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all approach, but some common themes definitely emerge. Mindfulness practices like meditation and deep breathing are really helpful. Exercise, getting out in nature, creative expression, spending time with loved ones, even simple things like prioritizing sleep, eating nutritious food and setting boundaries, those can make a huge difference in our ability to cope with stress.
It's about having that toolkit of strategies and knowing which ones work best for you in different situations. I know for me, sometimes it's a long walk in the woods, and sometimes it's blasting music and dancing it out.
Yeah, whatever works.
So we've covered all 7 C's: competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, and control. That's a lot to unpack. I'm curious, how do these actually play out in real life?
Well, the resilience article from the American Psychological Association, they had this story that really brought this to life for me. It was about this young woman who went through a series of incredibly tough challenges. Job loss, serious illness, financial strain, all within a short period of time.
Wow, that's a lot to handle all at once. How did she cope?
Well, instead of letting those setbacks define her, she focused on what she could control. She used her time off work to learn new skills, started volunteering to connect with others, and practiced mindfulness to manage her stress.
So she leaned into those 7 C's to navigate those incredibly difficult circumstances.
Exactly.
And the amazing thing is, she not only got through it, but she actually came out stronger on the other side. She ended up finding a job she loved, deepened her relationships, and developed a profound sense of inner strength.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
It really shows that resilience isn't about avoiding hardship, but about using those experiences to fuel our growth. But let's be real, setbacks are a part of life. No matter how resilient we are, we're all going to face challenges and failures. How can we reframe those setbacks so they don't completely derail us?
That's where the growth mindset comes in. It's this idea that we can view setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as personal failures.
Instead of seeing it as, I messed up, it's more like asking, okay, what can I learn from this?
Right. It's about shifting from a fixed mindset, where we believe our abilities are set in stone, to a growth mindset where we see challenges as chances to develop and improve.
That resonates with me. I know that when I approach challenges with curiosity and a willingness to learn, even if it's uncomfortable, I end up growing so much more.
Yeah, me too.
But what about those times when we just feel stuck? When we know we need to take action, but we feel paralyzed by fear or self-doubt? What advice do our sources offer for those moments?
The What is Resilience source had a tip that really stuck with me. It's about asking yourself, what's the smallest possible step I can take right now?
Oh, I like that. It's about breaking down those overwhelming tasks into manageable bites. Instead of focusing on the entire mountain, you just focus on putting one foot in front of the other.
Exactly. And even those small steps can create a sense of momentum and forward movement, which can be incredibly empowering, especially when we're feeling stuck.
So we've talked about the 7 C's real-life examples and even how to reframe setbacks. As we start to wrap up this deep dive, is there anything else from the sources that really stood out to you?
Well, one thing that really struck me was how the U.S. Department of State, they actually have resources on resilience. You wouldn't think it'd be like their top priority, but they have a whole section on building resilience for foreign service officers.
You know, that's so interesting. Because you're right, you wouldn't think that that would be something that they would focus on. What kinds of things do they recommend?
A lot of what we've been talking about, mindfulness, strong relationships, finding purpose. But they also emphasize the importance of self-awareness, like really knowing your strengths, your triggers. What helps you recharge all of that plays into building resilience.
It makes sense when you think about it. If you know yourself well, you're better equipped to handle whatever comes your way.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. But if our listener was going to walk away with just one key takeaway about building resilience, what would you say it is?
That's a good question. I think it would be this. Resilience is a journey, not a destination. It's not about achieving some perfect state of unbreakability. It's about consistently showing up for ourselves, even and especially when things get tough.
Yeah, and it's about those small, everyday choices that build up over time.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Lean on your support system, seek out resources, and celebrate those small wins along the way.
This has been such an insightful conversation. As we wrap up this deep dive into resilience, I want to leave our listener with a final thought. Imagine yourself a year from now. You've faced challenges, maybe even some setbacks, but you've also learned and grown along the way. What does that more resilient version of you look like?
What new skills have you developed? What relationships have you strengthened? What challenges have you overcome?
And most importantly, how do you feel? More confident, more at peace, more equipped to navigate whatever life throws your way.
I think that's the heart of it. Building resilience isn't just about weathering the storms. It's about cultivating that deep sense of inner strength and peace that allows us to truly thrive no matter what comes our way.
That's a beautiful way to put it. To our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into resilience. Remember, you are stronger than you think. Until next time.